Shabbat Shalom, my friends. Well, it had to happen. It was inevitable. On this Shabbat morning, we have a special blessing for the new month of Elul, the very last month in the Jewish calendar. We also have a special Haftarah read this Shabbat morning, which just happens to be my Bar Mitzvah Haftarah, and which is read whenever a Shabbat immediately precedes the first day of a new month. All of this adds up to a cautionary note. Rosh Hashanah is 1 month away. Rabbis, to your sermons. The rabbi's always willing to create a little midrash to make things somehow a bit easier, taught. Take the 4 Hebrew letters of Elul, the name of the last month of the year, Aleph, Lamed, Vav, Lamed. That's really an acronym for Ani L'Dodi V'Dodi Li. I am my beloved's, and my beloved is mine. So, even as we prepare for these days of awe, never forget the love that binds the Jewish people to God and God to the Jewish people. I am my beloved's, my beloved is mine. Rosh Hashanah is coming. It'll be fine. Our Sedra is Re'eh, Deuteronomy chapter 11, verse 26 and following. Okay, it's time for a moment of truth. I have been preparing these weekly Torah teachings for Facebook and for YouTube now for about 6 years, and the experience has been very gratifying in 2 different ways. First of all, hundreds of people study the Torah text with me, with us, each and every week. For a teacher, especially for a rabbi who no longer is an active rabbi in a congregation, we have become part of our own sacred community, and that's really, really nice, and I thank you for that. But secondly, the need to prepare something new to share each week obligates me to keep on studying, to keep on reading, to keep on mining our tradition for new insights and new understandings. And that also is very, very nice. Truth be told, most of the time my prep work serves to remind me of something that I had already learned. But every once in a while I stumble upon something that I had never encountered before. I totally love those moments, and it happened this week, right now. Rabbi Dr. Jonathan Sacks of blessed memory was a great scholar, a great leader of our people, and a true public intellectual. In his commentary on our Sedra, he tried to epitomize its incredibly rich and diverse contents. There is a treasure house before us, he taught, crammed into really very few chapters. Do not allow poverty to exist unanswered in your society. Fine. Don't turn your backs on what has now become thousands of years of intimate contact between the Jewish people and God. Respect the value of human life. Abide by those laws that create community by crafting a shared approach to what we eat and how we eat. Create a community characterized by both justice and compassion. Keep a sacred calendar with each festival and holiday and memorial. The calendar reminds us of our core values. And remember Jerusalem, the city that is forever an emblem of our faithfulness. That's what this Sedra is all about. But Sacks noticed something in our Sedra that I had never before seen. 7 times in our Sedra the word Simcha is used. Simcha now is used only once in each of the first 4 books of the Torah, and in our Sedra alone it's used 7 times. Now, we know what the word Simcha means, right? It's joy or happiness, Simcha. Now, there hasn't been a lot of joy and happiness in the 40 years wandering of the Israelites in the desert. In fact, I don't think that I would ever have characterized the Exodus process as an uplifting, joyous event. Attacked by enemies, food problems, water problems, memories of Egypt that became the stuff of nightmares. These were former slaves filled with anxiety, with trepidation, and often with regret and confusion. Rebellion against God, punishment. Rebellion against Moses, punishment. A turning away from human decency, punishment. And yet Moses in our Sedra seems to be stating that Simcha is what life in the promised land will be all about. And I just hadn't noticed. Sachs reminds us that Simcha is usually translated as joy or gladness or happiness, delight, but there are actually other words for those terms. Simcha, and here I quote Sachs, Simcha is not a private emotion. It means happiness shared. I love that. Happiness shared. Simcha is a social state. Love that too. A predicate of we, not I. There is no such thing, Sachs claims, as Simcha alone. When our people enter the land together, when they plant their fields and harvest them, when they bring sacrifices to Jerusalem, when they battle against poverty and injustice, when they extend concern to the widow and to the orphan, there will be simcha, reflecting the successful outcome of a shared activity. When our eyes sweep the landscape of Jewish history, we have ample occasion for weeping. Each disaster, each plague, each moment of loss. Our tradition establishes ways for us to share in the remembered experiences of pain. We know these. Shiva, lamentations, communal observances. But our text here is doing something quite different. Something that we have ignored or not fully understood, and that is the power of shared rejoicing. I get it. I get it now that Sachs has pointed it out. When someone says that they're having a simcha, they aren't talking about a private moment of happiness. A simcha, right? What is it? It's a wedding, a bar mitzvah, a bat mitzvah, an anniversary. Events that are made richer, deeper, more meaningful by having been shared by others. A nation has been born in the desert. It will surely experience periods of loss and pain in its history. And by sharing in that pain, it will be strengthened. But our Sedra wants to know that the flip side of shared pain is the reality that being in community, by being part of a nation, by being part of a people, we can lift up our individual joys and turn them into a shared simcha. There is so much that we can and do achieve in the first person singular. I pledge allegiance. I do. I will tell the truth. I lift up my eyes to the mountains. I, the individual. America was built upon a foundation of individualism, and great things happen here. But the Jewish people, the Jewish nation, Am Yisrael, seeks to create a collection of individuals and to shape them into a living, caring entity that understands that simcha a sharing of happiness and an active caring for the joy of others is the real mark of a sacred society. A sacred society is a place of collective joy, of shared simcha, shared happiness. Okay, I hadn't thought about that. Thank you very much, Rabbi Dr. Lord Sachs. Have a joyous, shared Shabbat. I look forward to seeing us all next week.